away, but I think they said the outdoor sporting events and things like that would start on the 15th of the month.
Yeah. all right.
Also, is it true that they reduced the physical distancing for students at school down to 3 feet?
I haven't heard that.
Didn't hear that. I heard a preview of tonight's news and it said they were thinking of no mask outdoors.
Yeah.
They released something today where they said the whole social distancing thing really is useless. You can be, if you're indoors, and depending
Yeah.
on circumstances, you can be 6 feet or 60 feet away, you're still gonna potentially be infected.
Let me jump in and say that the meeting is now live and it's going to be recorded in just another minute.
Okay, we'll be good.
Giving you your warning.
Should ring a bell.
All right, we got five. We got Jory, the only council member on so far.
I am.
Ms. Gillespie's here.
Oh yeah. Hello, Thelma. You're muted.
I don't see her.
She's in the middle. I see her. Thelma, you're still muted. Can you hear me? There she goes. Yeah, no.
Oops, wait.
There you are.
There we are.
Hey, Thelma.
Okay, I'm good. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Okay.
All right, we got two people.
It's Catherine.
Fletcher, did you get my phone message?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't. I tried. I was too late because you're an hour late. I'm an hour ahead of you.
Oh, that's okay. I just wanted to help with the minutes if we could just follow that procedure.
All right. So okay.
Names and addresses or where they live.
They need the address then
Yeah, name,
and street address. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay. Anybody that speaks. So we have a quick. We only have one public hearing, correct? Yeah. Or public.
Two, actually.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I'm sorry. Let me get my agenda back again here. Oh, right, the budget, of course. Geez, how'd I forget that?
Oh, wow.
Speaking of the budget, Fletcher,
Yeah.
is that only for public business or can council ask a question at that point?
No, it's a public hearing. You can say
Okay.
something.
All right. I just had a couple questions, things I didn't understand.
No, it's a public. Yeah, no, we're not gonna. All right, we still only have
3 minutes.
only two council members. What's going on here, people? Oh, Catherine's on, isn't she?
Yep.
Okay. All righty.
Must not be seeing all the participants here. 1, 2. We need one more. Oh, there's Bob. Okay, we got a quorum. All right.
Okay.
Elisa, if the people are watching on YouTube, are they still on a 30-second delay?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay,
And I think all of your members are here.
okay. I got 1 minute.
7,
Ray, are you there? You're here?
Hey Fletcher, I'm here.
Okay, good. Ray. Who else? There's a lot of people on here tonight. 27 people.
That might be a record.
I know, it is getting up there. As long as we don't have any unwanted people show up with weird comments.
There are actually 29 participants right now.
Okay. Oh, yeah, we got 2 more. All right. All right.
Hi, Ms.
well,
Gelman.
All right. Alrighty, that's close. It's 6 o'clock. All right. I'm gonna officially call the Nancock Town Council meeting for April 26th to order. Lisa, would you like to call the roll, please?
Mayor Foskey,
Present?
Councilmember Bloxham,
Present.
Councilmember Marino,
Present.
Councilmember Krause,
Present.
Councilmember Berger,
Present.
Councilmember Oswald, Councilmember Gillespie.
Present.
Majority of members are present, sir, and we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. All right. Let's try to say the Pledge of Allegiance if we can do that in unison, hopefully. Okay. I pledge allegiance
Pledge
to
allegiance
the flag
The flag of the United States
United
of
States
America,
of
America,
America,
and
and
to the republic
republic
which
for
it stands,
stands
one nation,
one nation,
under
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and
with
justice.
liberty and
liberty and
justice
justice
for all.
Wasn't too bad. Thank you. All right. A couple housekeeping things. This is a virtual meeting. If anybody needs to see the authority allowing us to do that, please contact Matt at the town hall. He can give you the proper state how we're.
Okay, the mayor seems to have frozen.
No,
Oh,
here.
there he goes.
Yeah, I shouldn't be. I've got a huge speed here, but anyway, yeah, this should be the last virtual meeting, hopefully. That's correct. Yeah. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, it did. Well, this is the last virtual meeting. Hopefully we'll be in person from now on, according to the, we'll still have to follow some guidelines and stuff. All right. Get back to my agenda here. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Consideration and approval of minutes from the March 22nd Town Council meeting. Has everybody had a chance to read those, review them? If so, do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
I found something on page 3, letter C, and it may just be my misunderstanding, but resolution for USAID loan, should that be USDA?
It should.
Yes.
Any other additions or corrections? Do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Who is that?
Ms.
Ray.
Ray Berger.
Ray. Okay, a second.
I'll second.
Bob. All in favor? Aye.
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 All right, I assume that's a majority. Thank you. All right. All right, the first order is that Matt, concerning the bakery issue, you want to take over that?
Yeah, I have something I want to read so that everybody can understand how we reached the point where we are tonight. And then afterwards, I'm glad to entertain any questions. It said, no one likes taxes. No one does. However, to enjoy our parks and receive services like police protection, they're necessary. To collect taxes and enforce ordinances is by far the least favorite part of my job, but it's a clear responsibility of mine and I try to do it well. After my first 6 months on the job, I noticed that many tax accounts were in arrears, and so we wanted to make a concerted effort to collect unpaid taxes of all kinds before they became more of a problem. That's how this issue began. Just after the Christmas holiday, we began to contact residents and businesses who had not paid their taxes. On January 22nd, 2021, the town sent a letter to the corner bakery to remind them that they had not paid their meals tax since March of 2020. In the reminder letter we sent, we also reminded the bakery that town council had suspended meals tax for April through June of 2020 to help restaurants lower their prices to customers during that period of the pandemic. For statistical and grant application purposes, we do require meals tax figures, even though there was no tax that needed to be collected or remitted for those months. We received no response from the bakery as a result of the letter in January, so on February 19th, 2021 at 9:55 a.m., I called the bakery. When I introduced myself to Connie Smith and shared the reason for my call, she transferred me to Ms. Karen Edwards, who does their books for them. When I shared with Ms. Edwards the reason for my call and my request, she indicated that we would be paid. On February 22nd, we received payment from the bakery for all unpaid taxes up through January 2021. The remittance included a letter with the sales figures for April through June of 2020, when there was no tax collected. The sales figures for April through June of 2020 averaged $23,500 per month. But the average sales reported for meals tax over the last 3 years was about $7,300 per month. The $16,000 difference indicated to me that the bakery was only collecting meals tax on about a third of their sales. The difference in monthly sales prompted me to look at the town ordinance for meals. The ordinance for meals tax is in section 16-340. All town code can be found online on our website and is searchable and printable. The pertinent portions of the ordinance from my perspective are the definition of meals in section 16-340, which says meals means any prepared food and drink, including alcoholic beverages, offered or held out for sale by a restaurant or caterer for the purpose of being consumed by an individual or group of individuals at one time to satisfy the appetite. And it continues for a couple more sentences. The next section I thought was important was the tax levied section, which is 16-342. It reads, in addition to all other taxes and fees of any kind imposed by law, an excise tax is hereby levied and imposed on the purchaser of every meal served, sold, or delivered in the town by a restaurant or caterer. The rate of this tax shall be 5% of the amount paid for the meal. And then the last section I thought was important to understand was the exemptions. In 16-343, subsection 3 for food sold in bulk. For the purposes of this subsection, the term bulk sale means the sale of any item that would exceed normal, customary, and usual portions sold for on-premises consumption. For example, a whole cake or a gallon of ice cream. The term bulk sale does not include any food or beverage that is catered or delivered by an establishment for off-premise consumption. After reading each of these sections, it doesn't seem reasonable to me that cakes and packaged products made up nearly 70% of the bakery's sales. I felt it warranted further clarification and more thoughtful consideration. I contacted our attorney, Rachel Kellum, via telephone during the last week of March, and we agreed that because of the possibility for misunderstanding by raising this question in person, a letter was the best course of action. I requested that she review the letter before I sent it to ensure it appropriately shared our concerns. On April 1st, 2021, I received the following email from Ms. Kellum. It said, hey, Matt, the letter is great. Was it sent to them yesterday? If so, please forward me their response and whether you need me to step in. Hopefully they'll comply properly. Fingers crossed. My response later that evening was, I didn't send it until I heard from you. We'll mail tomorrow, thanks. Rather than mailing the letter, I delivered it by hand. On April 8th, I received a thoughtful and respectful email response to my letter in which Pete Smith indicated that he would forward both his letter and mine to his attorney. For disagreement in ordinance interpretation, that's exactly what should happen. Let two independent attorneys discuss and resolve to mutual satisfaction. I replied to the Smith's response with the following email. Thank you very much for your response to my letter of April 6th. I have attached my response to your letter. I'm hopeful and confident that we'll be able to navigate through this issue quickly and easily. My letter was crafted with our town attorney over the phone on April 13th, and it read, thank you for your response dated April 8th to As your letter states, if you'd like to meet with me in person regarding the town's meals tax, I'm available to discuss the matter at your convenience. The town supports the requirement that your bakery collect the pass-through meals tax as explained in my letter dated April 6th. Our interpretation is supported by other towns on the shore whose bakeries also pay meals tax on non-factory packaged products. Due to your interpretation of the code, please have your attorney respond by April 30th. At this point, we have a difference of interpretation of the town ordinance that was in the hands of each of our attorney for review, discussion, and recommendation. My hope is at this point, the attorneys would craft a revision to the ordinance to remove any ambiguity. This revision would be presented to town council and we would all move forward from there. On April 21st, the Corner Bakery decided to share their interpretation of the town ordinance on Facebook and requested support from their followers. This is well within their rights and we encourage respectful public discourse. However, the town has not nor will it address any public comments on social media. And I'm sure that the Smiths would never encourage, condone, or endorse the hurtful personal communications I have received in my private messaging and social media accounts from their followers who disagree with my and our town attorney's interpretation of the ordinance. At this time, I stand behind my interpretation that the intent of the meals tax is to levy a 5% tax on the purchasers of food prepared on site and sold for consumption by an individual or a group of individuals. By including text that defines what a reasonable consumption might be, we add a level of subjectivity to the ordinance that's unreasonable to administer. Examples might include, is it reasonable that one person consumes a large pizza they take out from Da Vinci's? Is that bulk because it's more than one person should reasonably eat at one time? If I pick up 2 meals from the Blarney Stone for Kim and me, it's clearly more than one person would eat at one time. Is that bulk? I was having lunch at Janet's the other day and a person in front of me was picking up 7 sandwiches for the people they work with. It's clearly for a group of individuals. In my opinion, this is what happens with a dozen donuts. People bring them home or to work to share with a group, and being consumed by a group of individuals is clearly stated in the town ordinance. I contend the intent of bulk sales is food prepared for resale and not for a subjective amount of food that someone thinks is unreasonable for one person to eat. The Corner Bakery's attorney thoughtfully presented a different interpretation. I asked town council to review the ordinance and give thought to revising it to remove the ambiguity. Until that happens, my recommendation is that we ask the Corner Bakery to collect and remit meals taxes as they have in the past. In the last email communication with the town attorney on this matter, in part she said, it's up to town council to decide if the town wants to fight the fight or amend the ordinance. I am not, was not, and would not look for a fight or even a negative exchange. My hope is simple. Through respectful communication with Onancock businesses and with town council, we remove any ambiguity from the ordinance to allow administration to equitably enforce the ordinance in place. Enforcing town ordinance is the job of the town manager. The town council did not charge me with this specific matter, and they never would, as it's simply outside their purview. The job of town council is to adopt, amend, or redact town. It seems this is a perfect opportunity to remove the vagueness that exists in this ordinance. I made every attempt to keep this matter professional and private. I made sure to seek legal counsel at every step. This is a professional difference of opinion on a town ordinance, and I'm sorry that it's become so much more than that. My wife and I are small business owners here in Onancock. We collect and remit taxes to the town as required. And even when our business was down 80% in 2020, we swallowed hard and wrote the check. We also thoroughly enjoy the Corner Bakery donuts and proudly send our guests to the bakery, and we will continue to do so. With help from town council, this difference of interpretation can be resolved quickly and amicably. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I guess we're gonna let council discuss this first before we can, anybody on council have want to weigh in here, start off with?
I'll be happy to lead off. I completely endorse Matt's approach to this. When this first dusted up, the first thing that I did was read the ordinance and notice several ambiguities in the ordinance, which I think make it reasonably difficult for some business owners to understand. I also believe, based on the Smiths' internal procedures, that they were doing their best to interpret it as they thought it was to be interpreted. And I think that a reasonable person could assume the same. But I think as we go through our review of code over the next several months, this is something that we definitely need to address and clarify, because it's a pass-through tax. So in theory, it doesn't affect the business owner. But as a customer of all of the food purveyors and restaurants in town, I want to make sure that it's being applied uniformly to all customers, including myself. So I think we take a step back, we review the ordinance, we clarify, and then we put out a communication to everybody that remits meals tax going forward, with clarifications included.
Thank you, Bob. Anybody, council? Joy, you have a comment?
Yes, Matt, you mentioned that when you were looking at establishments that were in arrears, how many did you find? Will there be additional episodes like we're having now?
I hope not. As far as business taxes are concerned, as far as meals and transient occupancy, there were 4 at the time that we started the process. They're down to 1 right now, and everybody has reported or complied with the tax reporting that's in place.
I was specifically asking Joy about this, the bakery situation. Not. I don't think they're in arrears or anything. We need to discuss what's your feeling on the bulk tax thing.
Well, my feeling is that I hope to avoid something like this in the future.
Yeah.
If we need to, as our attorney said in her interpretation that she stands behind, I have it right here. However, meals tax exemption 16-343 supports the bakery's interpretation.
Right.
So our current code does not say that bulk items need to be taxed.
Right. It's just a question of what's the definition of bulk items. Yeah. All right. Anybody, other council? Catherine? Who else? Who's Mavis? Is that you?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I wasn't here for the roll call technical difficulties.
Okay.
So I just wanted to say that I think that we have accepted along the way what the corner bakery has been paying as their correct amount. To suddenly turn around and say this is incorrect and needs definition, to me, is not really what we need to do. We need to move forward with our ordinance the way it has been accepted by ourselves and by our business. Thank you.
All right. Catherine, got anything? No. Ray, any comment?
Yeah, I do have a comment. We have this exemption on code, and I think their interpretation is correct, that they are making bulk sales and those sales are exempt from the tax.
All right. So, all right. Who am I missing here? Thelma, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Comments?
No.
Okay. All right. So I guess in moving forward, I mean, I had a couple of conversations. I had a conversation with our town attorney. It came pretty quickly that the ordinance is a little bit vague about things. I looked up Cape Charles's ordinance, and they do not have the exemption. Exemption 3 is not listed in there as an exemption for them. So that was a little different. So they probably could get away with charging bakeries their full meals tax, but their exemption was not in. So I guess we need, so there's some different opinion on council, whether we need to, look at this ordinance again, or just, obviously we're going to I feel like we need to let the bakery continue on with what they're doing. They've been doing it for 10 years now. Is that correct? How long we've had meals tax? Yeah.
At
Well,
least-
as we go through the review of code, which is ongoing, this is going to come on our radar screen.
All right.
And from my perspective, that's the appropriate time to give some thoughtful consideration to whether we want to amend the ordinance or not.
All
But
right.
I would, for one, would like to research other localities and have a little more of a background on what other municipalities are doing before we address it.
Isn't
So
that up to us, Mr. Mayor? I'm sorry, but isn't it up to us as to how we address the situation as a town and not necessarily what other towns do? And if some towns are not charging meals tax as we are, and some are charging for everything. So it is an individual choice or a town choice, I'm thinking.
Yeah,
And
sure. Yeah.
I think we have the right to move forward with what we've been doing.
And to be clear on what we have been doing, the bakery is charging a meals tax on a single donut and a single coffee. Am I correct on that? They are not charging a meals tax on a dozen donuts.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, they sent their policy to us, and it looked good to me. I like the policy looked fine. All right, so let's. We don't need take any action. We don't need to vote on anything. We're not going to. The bakery is going to continue doing what they're doing. We're going to defer. Any kind of discussion until later when it comes up. If the council wants to bring it up at when we review code, it'll be a council's decision if we want to review changes or whatever we want to do. So basically, Matt's correct. You're gonna keep doing what they've been doing until further.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So there's no change in what they've been.
No, that's perfectly fine.
Okay. All right. Okay. So any other comments? There's no action that needs to be taken from council, any votes or anything on this. Okay. All right. Let me move on to the. All right. So on to the other part is the public hearing, special use permit 22 Johnson Street. Matt, you're.
Yep. With the staff report, first of all, Ms. Geldman is actually on the call right now. She is the new purchaser and owner of the property at 22 Market Street, or 22 Johnson rather. There is a typo in my staff report. The parcel is currently zoned as R1B. It's typographically in error where it says B1. So that's incorrect. It's a residential district. Also, this property served as an Airbnb or a homestay for years prior to this. So it's just simply a transfer in owner, not a transfer in use. As you know, a special use permit doesn't transfer when the property transfers. So there's no change in use. This is just a change in owner, and Ms. Geldman here is, I'm sure she would happily entertain any questions for you, but I don't have anything other than a recommendation that we continue to offer the permit.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask a question here?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I just wanted to know, I saw that her special use permit information was being disseminated to the neighbors, and I just wondered whether there was any comment or any feedback from the neighbors.
I sent out the adjacent property owner notice on March 30th. I personally haven't heard anything. If there's anybody online that's from that neighborhood, by all means.
Okay. Ms. Gelman, do you have anything to say anything?
No, well, just thank you for having me, and I look forward to being able to use the property as well as pay the mortgage through the vacation rentals.
All right. Well, I think without further ado, I guess we need a motion to accept this. Is there somebody going to read the motion?
Sure.
Is there a motion, Matt, in our?
Yeah, there is.
Yes.
It's on, if you're looking at my numbers on the bottom right of your packet, it's on page 10.
Well, I can't read it. Somebody's going to have
I've got
to.
it. I've got it. I've got
Okay.
it right in front of me.
Go ahead.
Okay. And, oh, wait a second. Your page 10 doesn't have the, oh yeah, suggested motion. Mr. Mayor, I move to approve SUP 04-21 with the following requirements. All guests must park in the off-street spaces provided. The owner agrees with the transient occupancy tax code as detailed in sections 16-72 through 16-81. The owner agrees to pay all water, sewer, and garbage bills within 30 days of the bill date and understands that service will be discontinued immediately thereafter and reconnection fees apply. Understand, well, it should say if it's not paid within that time, but it
Correct.
doesn't read that way.
All right. Do we have a second on that motion?
I'll second it.
Who got in there first? Okay. All right, discussion, council? Any, oh, actually, I forgot to open the public hearing on this. I'm sorry. Let me open the public hearing real quick. Is there any public comment on this? Any public comment? All right. No public comment. Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing then. It's a quick public hearing. Anybody? Okay, so Lisa, you want to call the roll still for a
Yes, sir.
vote?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Bloxham,
Aye.
Councilmember Marino,
Aye.
Councilmember Krause,
Aye.
Councilmember Berger,
Aye.
Councilmember Oswald,
Aye.
Councilmember Gillespie.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
All right. Well, thank you, Mrs. Gilman. All right.
You're welcome. I look forward to meeting all of you. I'll be down in another week or so. I'll try to stop into the town offices and introduce myself.
Okay. Well, thank
Excellent.
you.
Look forward to that.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
I'll leave the call now. You guys have lots of other work to get to, I'm
Right,
sure.
thank you.
Thanks. Enjoy.
All right. All right. Next item is the another public. This is the public hearing for the town budget. I'm going to remember to open the town. We're going to open the public hearing concerning the fiscal year 21-22 town budget. The public hearing is now open. Matt, you want to?
Sure. We advertised the public hearing and we published the budget as it's presented and as the council reviewed in its workshop and subsequently. The total budget is $1,846,241. It's in balance, and I have these highlights to mention. There are no tax increases, whether real estate, personal property tax, transient occupancy, or meals tax. We are eliminating the town decal requirement for vehicles garaged in an ANCOC by simply adding the vehicle tax to the annual personal property tax bill. We're removing the gross sales tax on the annual business license. Business licenses beginning January 1 of 2022 are $30 per business, no matter how much in sales. We're lowering water rates for low volume users. We're also giving a significantly lower water rate for high volume users, which should benefit businesses like restaurants, car washes, and laundromats. We have a new online payment option for all town taxes and fees, and the town absorbs all credit card processing fees. And we made market adjustments to the police department and the DPW wages to adjust compensations for those hardworking, underpaid employees.
All right. We've had quite a bit of discussion on the budget. Does any town council, does you want to weigh in before I open this up to public comment? Anybody, any questions about the budget?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Under trash revenue, Matt,
Yes.
I compared our budget that we're proposing, the preliminary budget with 2020, because 2020 was the last time we were normal, so to speak. And I see 140% increase. Trash went from 39,000 in 2020 to a proposed 94,000
Sure.
this year. So why is that?
Sure. In previous years, I think it was back in 18-19, council decided to reduce the amount for trash so that it did not cover the actual contract for trash pickup with Davis. What we've done in this next year budget is we're billing customers for the exact dollar amount that it will take to actually pay Davis. but the price of the water reduction is going to allow for a net water, sewer, and garbage decrease in everyone's bill. So even though garbage went up, it went up to offset the actual cost, but water rates have come down by enough so that the net bill that people receive will actually be lower. The minimum amount for water and garbage will be about 5.5% less than it is currently.
Were you talking,
And
Joy,
for
were you talking
large
about
businesses like, for large water users, it's significantly better than that.
Are you
Mr.
talking
Mayor?
about income, Joy?
Yes,
Oh,
revenue.
okay. Revenue,
Yeah,
okay,
so-
okay, yeah, because the cost of trash has pretty much stayed the same, pickup, correct?
Yeah, our cost with Davis, we were actually able to negotiate a small decrease.
Okay.
So to be clear, what you're saying is the town picked up the difference between 40,000 and 94,000?
Last year, yes, that's true.
Now we have budgeted the correct amount.
Yes.
Okay, my other one, only one other one, transient occupancy tax in 2020 was 11,000 and we're predicting 24,000, which is an increase of 108%.
Well, it was in budget year 2020, 2021, what we did was we reduced it because of the pandemic. We made that that budget change very close to the end of the year because we saw the pandemic was here. So we reduced transient occupancy tax. But if you look back in 2020 and the $24,000 is fairly consistent with the way our actual numbers are showing. So it's based off actuals, not so much from previous year budget. It's much more reflective of what's actually happening in town.
I see.
Uh,
And that we only budgeted 13,000 in 21.
Right.
Okay,
And-
Mavis, are you finished, Joe?
Okay, thank you, I'm done.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Pardon
Mavis?
me?
I just have a question for Matt too, on the financial performance, and it's page 36, that your numbers,
Oh, that's okay.
all right?
Hang on.
Okay,
That's fine. Go ahead. I'm with you.
okay. Will you first, the column says special revenue.
Yep.
Is that a lot of things thrown in there, or is that all grant funds?
Those are all grants and only grants.
Only grants, okay.
Yep.
So special revenue just means grants.
Yes.
All
That's
right.
the title that the CPA firm likes to see on our reporting, but for our purposes, that is only grant funding and only the grant activities.
Okay, and
it's
oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and it's supported with the detail on page 44.
Okay.
So you can see by grant what the activity has been.
Okay, under that expenditures, the administration, is that what that administering? There's 300.
No, there's grants that are only available, like, let's say, for example, let me get back to that page. Because where it says like $309,000 for expenditures,
Yes,
that's predominantly the CDBG grant. The other grants are by department. So like the grants that are specifically for the wharf, I show in the wharf department. The grants that are specifically for sewer and water bills, I show in the sewer and water department. But the others don't have a home, so that's where they just slide in as
so
admin.
it's several departments
Yes.
that's lumped in there.
Correct. Yes.
All right, and on page 44, there's a breakdown of that.
Yes, ma'am. Every grant and what we expended and what we've been reimbursed.
Thank you. I'll check it out. I didn't get that.
No
right.
worries.
Okay, any other council comments? All right, any public comment on the budget? Anybody want to weigh in, please? Public comment again, anybody? All right, I'm gonna close the public hearing then on the budget, and we vote on the budget next meeting, correct? We can't do that.
Yes,
Yeah, we can't vote, by law, we're not allowed to vote it in tonight. We have to wait.
that's correct.
Yes. All right. If anybody has any, listen on YouTube and they have any comments. You're on a 30-second delay, so I don't know how you're going to get in. All right, next item. Motion regarding ordinance 2021-01 wharf parking fee. Need a Matt?
Right. We were really waiting for the county to finalize how they were going to administer their use of parking fees for their boat ramps. Because if you recall, what we had said was we were going to follow the county's lead on how they were going to administer the use of their ramps. And by using their ramps, they have decided to charge for parking. And we've done the same thing. The county is going to distribute a sticker with each personal property tax return that has a boat listed on it. So they're going to receive a free sticker. That free sticker from Accomack is going to allow you to park for free in the town of Anancock. So we're following the exact policy that the county is using. And I put the advertisement that the county had published in the April 9th. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing. I guess I can, at this point, I can answer any questions that you have. So that's really the change that had taken place in our code.
If somebody lives out of town, they get that sticker, they can park for free in our round?
Yes, that's
Okay.
absolutely true. Yes, as long as they have an Accomack County decal, they can use our ramp and park in the town for free.
So that's a difference of what it used to be, correct? Yeah, we used to charge people to use their-
Correct.
Right. So basically, we're only going to be picking up out-of-state people. Well, we never made that much money on the ramp fee anyway, did we?
You're exactly right, Mr. Mayor. It wasn't a big revenue source, and I think it makes good sense that given how many years we have charged, that we're able to give this brand new ramp free use to almost everybody that's local.
Right.
Is-
To clarify, would this be out of state or also out of county? Like, for example, Northampton County residents?
Northampton County will not participate, so their boaters will have to pay a parking fee.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So does everybody, you want a motion to accept
Yeah,
Okay.
we need to have this one moved and
all right,
voted
is there a
on.
motion from somebody to accept this?
Page I've got it in front of me, but I don't see it.
It's not there.
Okay. I'm not sure what that means, but,
I mean, I don't see where I'm supposed to read the ordinance,
oh, okay.
the motion.
No, he doesn't have it there.
Anybody else see it?
I can read what's written on the vote, and an ordinance repealing the fee for public ramp use in sections 3625 through 3629 and adding parking controls for vehicles, boats, and trailers on town-owned property or public streets in section 3623. This ordinance also amends the use of unreserved floating docks to allow for up to 4 hours at no charge to the boater.
Somebody want to basically make that motion that Matt just did?
So moved.
So,
All right, second?
second,
All right, I guess we'll call the roll again because it's hard to tell with the people. Elisa?
Councilmember Bloxham,
Aye.
Councilmember Marino,
Aye.
Councilmember Krause,
aye.
Councilmember Berger,
Aye.
Councilmember Oswald,
Yay.
Councilmember Gillespie.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, thank you. All right. Okay, we're on to council discussion. American Rescue Plan 2021. Matt?
Okay, so the information that I'm getting, I'm members of a group of statewide financial officers, and we meet every other Thursday. It's hosted by the Virginia Tech Group. So it's a really well-researched and thoughtful group. And there's probably about 75 of us that get together every other week. This has been a very big point of conversation over the last couple of months. What we've learned so far is if you are not a DHCD entitled town, which basically means that we don't receive consistent funding from DHCD every year, then the ARPA, or the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, the ARPA money is going to get funneled through the state. Treasury is still putting guidelines together for this. So what our conversations are is that we're talking loosely about, based on current guidelines, what each town or city might do with these monies. But to be very clear, nobody's spending any money yet. We want to make sure that the guidelines come through from Treasury, that we're all absolutely understanding what we're allowed to do, what we're not allowed to do. They did release, when the bill was passed, they did release loose guidelines, and obviously I've sent those to you folks. So what our goal for tonight, and hopefully for several more months, is to just begin talking really among yourselves for what priorities you would like to see used, given the guidelines that we know about. We want to make sure that council has, plenty of time to talk through how these monies might be used. If you remember, we're currently allocated, and we don't know where it's going to end up, but no changes have been made yet, but we're currently allocated $1.1 million that would be distributed in 2 equal tranches. The general regulations or guidelines say that it can be used for water infrastructure, for economic development, for emergency personnel or critical personnel wages, and also for under the economic development, it also calls out specific industries like hospitality that, there might be a little bit of an issue with, because they took such a hard hit. So what I'm suggesting is that we just begin loose conversations. If you have an idea, I'll put it on paper. I'll start researching. I'll ask my colleagues that get together every other week what they're doing. I'll come back with ideas for what they're thinking. And these funds, the only true guideline, and the one that's hard and fast, is that these need to be spent by 2024. So we've got time. That's what I wanted to make sure we're all clear on, is, we know when the monies are coming. We have time to spend them. And also the state is going to be administering these. So we're going to have to be very close to the Treasury guidelines, I will say. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I think I've talked to several council members, most of you all individually about this, and I guess we've all had different ideas about how we wanted to, to get input into how to help us distribute this money. Some kind of public input, whether a public input forum. That's a lot of people talked about that. Getting some input from the business community, whether at that public hearing or separately. As I think some people talked about setting up a committee similar to the Bob's wastewater committee with some expertise on it. Several different ideas. We got time, so but I think we all agreed. I think we need to get public input, whether we need that now or wait for what the guidelines are going to be, so we can tell people. We don't want people coming in and say we want to see a brewery when that's clearly not allowed. That kind of there's no point in wasting time on things that aren't going to be allowed with to use money. So that's so I guess we need council to decide on where we want to go. It sounds like we've got some time. So what are your thoughts?
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah,
may I?
sure.
I think, is it as of next month we'll be meeting publicly? No.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm thinking that it's going to, when we did visioning for the town on several occasions, we were able to get a very good cross section of ideas from people and what they thought the needs were. And this is how we can do it, not me talking to my neighbor and one person here, one person there, but in a forum kind of format, I think would, and especially if we're able to distance and still get together. The other question I have to Matt and this whole thing is, in the definition of what we can do and cannot do. The only cannot do's are very clear, but the can do's I don't understand, and including assistance to households. How would that apply, and how would we do something like that when a lot of people are out of work and hurting? And does that mean that we can help them?
Well, I think they're the questions that we need to get answered before we.
Right.
Yeah, my feeling is that we do some kind of, definitely not do it at a regular council meeting. Let's have a separate meeting, possibly after the next council.
The forum would work, I think, for all of us.
Yeah, but let's give us some time to get some more data. I mean, more information about what we can and can't do with the money, because there's if we have certain guidelines, we should need to stay within those guidelines at the forum. Rather than going down, a rabbit hole about something we can't spend the money on. Yeah.
Right. So Matt, are we going to get specific guidelines?
We will. The Treasury hasn't released them yet. Soon as they do, and I can get some interpretation that's actually understandable, I will be sending it out to council as I receive it.
Okay.
All right. So let's not do anything. Then we won't probably do anything between now and the next meeting on this, except talk about. If we have a forum, I'd like to have somebody. It needs to be a well-organized, forum with, with maybe moderator of some description that that we can.
Maybe we should ask somebody who has done it, like Jim McGowan.
Well, yeah, we can throw that around, but we need some. I don't know. That's just my idea, but we need to make sure that it's a organized forum and not just
Right.
free for all. Yeah.
Helter-skelter.
Yeah, but we do need input, because I honestly don't know how some of our citizens have suffered from COVID. We don't really know. We've hit certain things, but we don't know the average guy on the street that doesn't own a business in town. We don't really know how they've been affected. I'd like to know. Yeah.
I would too.
All right. So we're gonna table, basically. Is that agreed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Next item is Transportation Alternative Program, TAP grant. Matt?
Yeah. In your packet, I put together a few different things. One is there's a transportation alternative set-aside grant that would allow for us to receive a substantial amount of funding to work on an initiative that would benefit. Basically, they heavily favor pedestrian bike trails. Through conversations with a couple of different people, I think Onancock would be postured well to receive these funds. I've had the opportunity to speak to the VDOT coordinator of the program, walked him through, who we are, what we're thinking. He thought the project had merit. I also met with our local VDOT representative, who also felt like this was a value added to the transportation system, which is one of the key scoring criteria. So the reason I'm coming forward, first of all, is that I just want to find out from council is if there's an appetite to pursue this bike and pedestrian path. I do think it would add a lot of value. If you do remember, the road diet application that we put in through VDOT was denied. So that denial keeps us from having a bike path or safe walking from basically from Hill all the way out to Route 13. The map that I put into your packet takes us basically from just around the Johnson and Hill Street intersection. We have a right-of-way that cuts through, because we have the water and sewer lines that go all the way back behind the ball field and all the way back behind the ball field, literally all the way out to the hospital. Our town stops right around where the Coldwell Banker is, there on 13. So phase one would be a natural to go from Hill behind the ball field put a little cut in so that people could actually walk and bike to the ball fields there, have another connection point at Hartman, another connection point at Hall, and then I would say terminated out at the Route 13 at the Coldwell Banker. But I'd also like to be thinking long-term strategically, because if the shore gets its Rails to Trails program going and we can cover the shore out on Route 13 with a bike path, then we could connect all the way out to the hospital. We would be so very close to being connected with pedestrian and bicycle walkways. And because we've got the possibility for this funding now, I'd like to find out if council is interested in me pursuing this. To be very, very clear, this is a 20% match requirement. So if we say that it's a $500,000 project, the town will have to put up $100,000. This begs the next question. Hey, Matt, where do we get the money? We have reserves, and I put those into your packet consistently over the last couple of months. But one of the things I want to do with council is, rather than say, hey, we've got this money, what I'd like to be able to do is next month, I'd like to bring forward a financial policy that says, this amount is an appropriate reserve for capital. This amount is appropriate for grant matching. This amount is appropriate for operational backstops. That way, when we sit here and look at opportunities like this, or if we have other opportunities with Main Street, or we have other opportunities with other granting agencies, you can say, we have X dollars in our grant matching reserve. Do we want to use these funds for this project, or do we want to wait for another project that might line up better with the direction you want to take the town? So we're going to try to do these things simultaneously, because there is a pre-application requirement due in May. So my first ask tonight is, do you want me to pursue this project up until the point? I mean, we're not committed to anything, because a pre-application just gets us, it gets me writing applications is what it does.
Right.
If we get approved and offered the opportunity to submit a final, then we would have to be prepared to guarantee the match. You should also know this project would be administered by VDOT. So I don't have to administer it. They would administer it. It's a transportation grant. They're the funding agency. All of this is a really good opportunity for us to add that to the community. So I would like to move this forward as a pre-application. At the same time, I'd like to move forward with financial policies so that you can govern and really oversee the use of our reserves properly.
Yeah, I had one question. I was under the impression that the road dot was not, it was just defeated for 1 year, it wasn't dead.
The application was denied.
But Steve told me that Johnson, that was still, it was not a dead issue.
Yeah, I think that we do have him as an advocate, and that's a fantastic advocate to have. Formally, the application was denied. He does have the ability to go back in and start talking to people about the way it was scored and that type of thing. So I don't think it's dead, but I definitely think it's wounded.
Can we reapply? Another question is, what you're applying for a grant to go? You're not talking. Isn't it private property outside the town? The right of way allows us.
That's why I'm not going outside the town.
So what happens if we don't? If this doesn't hook to the outside of the town, how's that going to help us with this? Is it a standalone project? I mean, do you feel?
Yeah, it would go from the Coldwell Banker on Route 13 by Fairgrounds all the way back behind the ball field to Hill.
You don't mean Route 13?
How are we getting to the? Yeah,
not Route 13. I'm sorry, up by Fairgrounds and Market Street. Right. I'm sorry.
It would. So it would go. I'm sure we can run that by public. Run that by again where it's going from.
Starting
from Hill and Johnson out to Market and Fairgrounds.
Where will it begin, Matt? It shows it starting on Market Street.
Shows it at Hill Street.
That's one end and the other end.
Third
You
end.
both gave one end and the other end. So one's the start, one's the finish, depending on which way you're looking at it.
And where would it start on Market Street?
At the
Or
Coldwell
end.
Banker.
Behind the Coldwell Banker, basically, where we have the,
Well, that we actually have the right of way up through the corner, through the Coldwell Banker, right up to Market Street.
but do we have, does the right of way give us the right to put a bike path on it?
Yeah,
just-
my understanding is it does, but I've got to, there's a lot more questions I have to ask with legal counsel. That is our property, though.
We own it or we have a right of way?
I
You don't-
believe we own it. It's listed on the maps as ours, but there's a lot of, that's why I don't want to get too far down this road to find, I've got to have somebody do a title search. I've got to do the right of way application. I've got to talk to VDOT. There's a lot of work that would need to be done if we decide we want to move forward with this application. So the real question on the table is, do you want me to pursue a bike path in town?
Mike,
Yes.
Matt, can I ask a question here?
Please.
We have the HOS Nature Trail. And
Yes.
many times, like when I go on vacation, you see a bike trail through the nature trails. And I was just wondering whether this could pave an area that would allow people to bike through that nature trail, and you get two for the price of one.
Well, I'm not, that one, it wouldn't, the way that the VDOT program works is that it has to connect two streets. I'm not sure that the historic school, first of all, I'm not sure they'd want us paving it. I'm not sure I would want it
Not the
paved.
whole trail, but I'm just I mean, they've got plenty of room, but I'm just saying if you paved a bike path through there, it's just a suggestion. But
Okay, no,
it-
that's what I'm
it
saying.
it
My idea is just an idea. It does meet the VDOT standards and the scoring qualifications, but clearly more brains is better than mine. So I'm happy to look at different parts in town to see if it would match the same criterion and scoring.
And do we have the opportunity to use any of the funds or even our part of the funds for bike racks around town? We have, I think, only one or two in anywhere in town. And it would encourage people to bike and park if we had.
I think that's a great idea. And I also think that there are other places to answer your question. This would be for the infrastructure portion of that. I would hazard a guess if we were able to get a pedestrian and biking path that we would be able to seek other granting sources for bike racks and other things like that.
Okay. I think it's a grand idea.
Matt, I am very much in support of this. I think, as everybody knows, I'm a biker. And not only just for recreational, but also I see a lot of people biking to work on Market Street. And I can tell you from experience, biking Market Street is dangerous.
Yes.
And my only question to you, Matt, is I'm having a good bit of difficulty understanding exactly where you're talking about. So if you could maybe send us a map that's a little clearer, that would help.
I can try, or if you want to pop into the office, I'm happy to show you on the town map.
All right, thank you.
Glad to, sure.
Matt,
Yeah, Catherine.
hey, when we first started our budget discussion, one of the slides that you shared with us was specific to who do we want to be as a town? What is our vision? Where are we going? What are our priorities? And I think all these plans and opportunities, they always sound great, but does this fit our strategic plan? Do we know what that is? Do we know what our vision is? Do we want to start a bike path? Is that where we want to put reserve funds? Or are there other things that are higher priorities on our list? I think we're sort of moving ahead quickly, looking at something which often happens with grants because there are deadlines attached to it. So you say, oh, we got to get this done. And it, again, yeah, of course, everyone would like to have a bike path, but I don't know. I think we have some other conversations that maybe could come first.
Okay.
What is the preliminary grant? If you're approved for that, what's the time frame for the rest of it?
It's basically the end of the summer.
All right. Yeah, I
But
feel,
we have time to talk through. I mean, the preliminary application, I can get that in without too much heavy lifting. I do have to talk with Rachel about, that's our town attorney, about like your question, Mr. Mayor, about right of way and that type of thing. But they just did this at one of the parks in the county. So there's some fresh ideas and fresh information. So I'll be able to tap into a lot of that pretty quickly, I would think.
well, I share Catherine's, little concern that we needed to, we have one of the primary, everybody's concerned about our downtown, vacant buildings and how much money is it gonna, if we start spending reserves, do we have a plan to how to spend those reserves? I mean, if the bike pass is only gonna cost a minimal amount, that's different. But if we're looking at $100,000 to put in a bike path, that's definitely a step down. The council needs to be on board with some kind of, about that. I don't know.
Right, which is why I mentioned the financial policies that I would bring forward so that you can clearly define what you want to do with the reserves. And the comprehensive
Mr. Mayor.
plan is going to be in your hands very soon, so you can start looking at what that comprehensive plan is really going to serve as a strategic plan for the town. So all of those are going to line up at the same time.
Mavis?
Mr. Mayor, you mentioned vacant buildings downtown and tying that in with funding or our reserve funds. How could that possibly interact or cross? Because those buildings are privately owned and we are not investing in those privately owned buildings, to my knowledge.
Well, we're eventually probably going to apply for a downtown development grant like Marksley did. And that they put in some money and we have to put some money into that as well. It's like the Northeast grant. We're working on private homes up there, but we're putting town money in that. So, there is a match on those kind of grants and we're next, we're coming up soon to do something about a downtown development grant. I don't know what it's going to be, but I know Main Street's been looking at it and there's stuff going on. So we need to reserve, we need to decide, like Catherine said, where we want to go as a town. What's the most important thing? That bike path sounds great, but some of our downtown revitalization sounds good too. And they all cost. They're all going to involve some kind of match from the town. That's my point. It's not the same match, not the same grant, but we've had to spend. We spent money at the wharf, our own money. We're going to spend what, $20,000 or $30,000 on the new ramp. So it wasn't totally funded.
Town property, that to me is a little different than what I'm saying.
Yeah, but we're not. Yeah, but we're also. Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying we need to have a priority list of where we want to move, and that's we're working on that. So we don't have to make a decision tonight on this. Yeah.
I would like to authorize Matt to at least get the pre-application in so that we can continue this conversation and not be locked out of the potential of doing this if we decide that it's something we want to pursue.
All right. Yeah. I mean, we're not crossing any road that we can't back up. Correct. Yeah.
That's absolutely correct. We're not committed to anything.
All right. All right. Do we have a motion to do that then?
I'll move that we instruct the town manager to complete the pre-application for the funding with further conversation with council as we move forward.
Is there a second to that?
I second it.
I guess we need to call the roll again, Lisa.
Okay, Councilmember Bloxham,
Aye.
Councilmember Marino,
Aye.
Councilmember Krausey,
No.
Councilmember Berger,
Aye.
Councilmember Oswald,
Aye.
Councilmember Gillespie.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-1.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Council discussions. Some honoring some Hancock residents.
Okay. This one I'm sorry. If we look at beginning page 31 of the packet that I sent out, after Willie Crockett passed, one of our town residents, who I'm looking to see if she is on this meeting, anyway, had come forward and said that she would like to propose an event called, basically Onancock History Day. And during that History Day, we would celebrate the history of the town, as well as honoring some of our really wonderful community members who've passed, like Willie or Ann Knock. This one is obviously much more of what I would say a strategic community feel. The other conversation that I think is really important that we have as part of this is that Joy has been part of a community committee working on a community picnic in the fall for that same time frame. And first of all, I think both are phenomenal ideas, but I would worry about diluting the efforts of a limited base of volunteers. So I had a brief conversation with Joy today, and I've had a couple of conversations with the person who put forward the idea. And I just wanted to find out what council's opinion is, on, how we might honor the memories of some of our past community members, how we might celebrate the history of Onancock, how we might collaborate to create a community picnic. And I know Joy's got a lot more specific and good information about this than I. So that was really the gist of me asking for this to be put on the agenda, was so that we're not 4 people talking about 3 different things at 9 different times,
Well, I'll be happy to give a little background on the community
you.
picnic. Mr. Clinton Strand on Boundary Street, Pine, Pine, brought this up at a meeting. The last community picnic was 2007, and it occurs at Carr Place. And it's a great way for the community to come together. So I saw where Hillary was sponsoring a May 30th event. So I thought, well, maybe things are starting to happen. We had many planning sessions last year, and then of course canceled. So I called Hillary today, and she picked up the phone and said, I hope you're calling about the community picnic. And I said, yes, I am. And she gave us, because since it happens at Carr Place, she gave us a date of September 12th or rain date of the 19th. So I checked with all the committee members and talked with several people on council, and they're good with those dates. So we will probably start planning in May or June to get everybody involved.
Is this a town event, or is this going to be a historical society event? We need some.
Yeah, I would think it would be we originally called it a town event. Hillary's willing to work with us and provide the venue.
All right, so do we need to set up a committee to do this, or you've got a committee?
We have a committee. We have Teresa Kellum, Clinton Strand, the town manager, Kathy Boy, Hillary Harnett Wilson, and myself.
Okay, so we still got some time, and you'll report back to us what's going on.
Yes, be glad to.
Are we looking at a large, what's financial impact of the town? Not
Nothing.
much.
No, nothing.
Is it bring your own picnic? I mean, BYOB picnic?
Yes, yes. And, tables and chairs, maybe a tent, that type of thing.
Logistical support from the town, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay, sounds okay. So we don't need a vote or anything on this, correct? No. All right, thanks.
But I do want to be able to reach out to Phyllis Ward and talk with her about
Right.
what council's impression was of her ideas that we put in your council pack.
Well,
So I think the community, this is different from the community picnic. That's what I was saying when I first introduced it, was that Joy has been working with a committee for over a year to get this community picnic going. And it sort of aligned with the same timeline that Phyllis had for the Onancock History Day. So I didn't want to lose one in the shadow of the other. But at the same time, I do think that we need to honor what Phyllis has spent a lot of time putting together for you folks to consider.
Man,
Yes, please.
I kind of see the opportunity for a blending and an ongoing event. You know, that the theme of the community picnic is honoring. So, and each year you would have the 2 or 3 honorees like this is suggesting, and the picnic comes together as a community, recognizing its history and talking about its history. I don't know whether that is inconsistent with what you're talking about, Joy, but I just think a theme of some sort makes things work.
Yes.
Well, does the committee want to get together with Phyllis and go over see if they can work something out?
Or would Phyllis be willing to serve on the committee and bring her ideas to the group?
Yeah.
Joy, does it work for you?
She's been fantastically forthcoming with ideas and also forthcoming with the honesty about how she's an idea person and not so much an action person. But I would be happy to represent this side of it because she's been so passionate about this. And if like you said, Maphis, if we can add value to both and not ask too much of our volunteers at one time, I think that would make a lot of sense. But I really want to make sure that Joy and her group are the ones driving this event because that was their big idea. So I don't want that to get lost behind this either.
Right. I agree 100%. Before I forget it and it goes past, this is an opportunity for me to ask the question again. If the town is maintaining a record of all the volunteer hours, because the in-kind value of that, when you're talking about all these grants, it really does add up. And I just wanted to make, Joyce put in a year on this already, and you're talking about moving forward, and it's all going to be volunteers, and we need to keep record of all these volunteer hours.
It's one of the opportunities we've got for sure, because we've got Main Street, we've got OBCA, we've got secondary groups like Joy's group. And this is not, we say it's a town event, but other than logistical support, the town's not really involved. So and for grant writing purposes, we always keep timesheets for all volunteers because you're right, there's in-kind valuation associated with all of those. So even when we did the planting up at the Outlaw Blacksmith Shop, we had timesheets for all of our volunteers and we get compensated for that by the forestry. So you're absolutely right on that. I don't know if we're going to have a centralized database. It's an interesting idea.
It's a good way. How many ways can you tap into it? And I saw something on one of these things that there's in-kind not hours available to use on.
No, you're absolutely right. They value in-kind hours at $24.23.
Wow.
It's real and it's important.
I just want to say that this is not Joy's group.
I'm sorry. I was just sort of looking at
community
you.
group, and if anybody gets credit for it, it would be Clinton Strand, and Hillary has been absolutely phenomenal along with all the volunteers. And I am totally in support of Phyllis Ward's idea. I think that's a great idea too. So
Right.
we just have to work together and figure it out, and we'll all have a good time.
Yes.
Okay, well, I think anybody, any other further comment on this one?
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead.
Would it be okay if I just had a very short public comment?
You got one more thing and then the public about this?
Yes, sir.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you give me your name and your address,
sure,
please,
sure.
sir?
Yes, a lot of people don't know me because I've lived here now 6 years, but my name is Brian Kaiser. I'm originally from Philadelphia. I live in an Onancock address, but it happens to be on Parker's Creek. So I'm not in town. But if you could just give me a moment, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the famous people aspect of this. Is that okay, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Okay. And thank you, council, and thank you, Matt, for the opportunity. So Phyllis and I have been working together. Phyllis is a great idea person, and I thought she would be on the call tonight. I'm kind of surprised she's not here, but on her behalf, Willie Crockett and I became friends very quickly, very close friends. And I had been working with Willie on a book, which will be out in the fall. And I also have been in touch with Terry at the North Street Playhouse, and she has offered up some dates for an evening or multiple evenings of some poetry that I had created with Willie. I did the video portion, obviously Willie's words. But we put together these vignettes, and one of the vignettes right after Willie passed was about the bell in the steeple at Swain Memorial on Tangier. And that video that I put out just a couple days after his passing got 16,000 hits in 10 days. So the reason why I bring that up is if we were to have a day for Willie and Ann Knock. Ann Knock's another person I had an opportunity to work with very briefly before she passed. I did a video on the restoration of the stained glass windows in the Cokesbury Church. That got about 375 hits over the period of a year. I also did a video for Christmas this year for the driving tour, and that got 300 hits in about 6 days. So the reason why I bring all this up is I think there's an economic opportunity for the town when I see those types of numbers coming back on videos that are being posted on Facebook. And I'm not saying you would bring 16,000 people in town for a weekend to talk about Ann Knock and Willie Crockett, but they're absolutely, besides memorializing these folks, which is so important, I believe, to town. It's also an opportunity, I think, for people on the outside to see Onancock and see the history here, and how important some of the local culture has brought to the Eastern Shore. As I said, I'm surprised Phyllis wasn't here tonight because she has all the great ideas. I'm a very, very small part of this, but I did want to at least express to you the types of numbers I've seen. The Crockett's also would like to create a scholarship fund for upcoming art students and philosophy students, two of Willie's passions. And the money from the poetry videos that I'm going to display, and it's going to be about a 40 to 45 minute program. That money is all going to go towards the scholarship fund. I'm not making a cent on this. I'm doing this really out of the compassion and the friendship I had personally with Willie. So I just wanted to say thank you for your considerations. The date that somebody had thrown out about the 12th, actually the North Street Playhouse is available the 10th, 11th, and 12th. So it could be possibly the same weekend if that's something that council would be interested in. So thank you.
How is this going to be? How would the town be involved in this? That's the question. I mean, again,
Well, I think the residual, I think it's just a matter of, and again, Phyllis has the ideas. I'm really, as I said, a small portion of this. But I think the idea of celebrating the lives of Ann Knock and Willie Crockett and whomever, and Samuel Outlaw, I think it's a good catalyst to bring people into town. You know, the town, from what I can see, one of the big selling points of this town is history. We've got great restaurants. We've got a great wharf. You know, downtown, yeah, it looks like it's got so much potential. And if I can generate 16,000 hits with one 6-minute video, and you get a small portion of that coming into town, that's a heck of a revenue base for every restaurant, for the theater, for the playhouse, for the wharf, all that residual money that's going to come in. So I don't know if I answered your question, but.
Well, I was just trying to figure out exactly, what role the town would take in something that, that's going on at the playhouse.
I think it would be the promotion and the collaboration with again, a town picnic. You could do Shakespeare in the Park, where you have upcoming poets that would come in and do an hour over at the Onancock School. You could make a whole weekend out of it, which is going to drive revenue to the town.
I was
Excuse me?
waiting.
Yeah, well, maybe best thing was maybe if you could get together, you and I, and maybe Matt to get together, and anybody else that wants to talk about this further, because there's a lot of ideas here, and let's it's hard to decide at a meeting right like this, but let's get a meeting set up with you and me and Matt and whoever else wants to sit in on it.
That'd be great. And again, I mean, Phyllis has Phyllis has
get Phyllis in
great
there,
ideas.
Then we can see if we want to, see how the town can help you bring this off. And in collaboration with other North Street Playhouse, Historical Society, anybody. Yeah.
But
Okay.
I mean, I'm just trying to drive revenue to the town too, to
Right.
help
Yeah.
to support the business in town.
Right. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you
Mr.
very
Mayor.
much for
Thanks,
letting me
Brian.
speak. Sorry, I just jumped in like that, but thank
Okay.
you.
No, the
Mr.
videos you've
Mayor.
done. have been
Yeah. Go ahead.
fantastic.
Go ahead, Thelma.
I can see this as a perfect chance to have a 2-day event, have the picnic on the second day, which is that Sunday, but to do all of this other stuff on Saturday, time it out where you can go from one situation, one event to the other. Willie Crockett's gallery from 1 to 3, to the Nancock School from 11 to 1 or something like that, for these individual honoring of these people. I think it would make it great. We can add other stuff in it during the course of the day to make the Saturday even just as exciting as having the picnic on Sunday. I think this is an excellent, very good idea. I have never been to Tangier, and when I saw that it says boat rides to Tangier, I was like, wow, that is something great to put in it too, and people would come.
All right. No, I think you're right. I think we need to follow up on this and see how the town can help out. And, there's a lot of options there. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks a lot for Brian, for the information you've given us, the data. That's very enlightening about, how many hits we're getting and stuff. Yeah. So thank you. All right. You're muted. You're muted.
There we go. Okay. I said I will be in touch with you and Matt, and we can and I'll give Phyllis a call and see where she's at tonight.
Okay.
But we'll get together and talk a little bit more.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thanks,
All right.
Brian.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. All right. I think we're on to the last item here, and this was hopefully a fairly quick item. Council terms and election date. Matt?
Yeah, I just wanted to get through and give everybody the opportunity to look and remind themselves when their terms are up, and if there were any changes or anything else that we wanted to talk about. This will be a great opportunity to do it. But we've got we've got 4 folks coming up in November of 2022.
Okay, yeah, all right. So everybody's getting an extra 6 months on their term, correct?
Yeah, that's pretty exciting also. We're actually the code that's going to be changed, and I'll ask next month that you go through and make a formal motion to this, because the state law changed where the term, the election is going to be moved to November. So Lisa went through and made the changes to the ordinance. We're obviously going to need you to vote on that in the next cycle to go through and accept that. But that's really the catalyst behind all of this, was looking at the terms, looking and understanding that the vote was going to be moved from May until November.
Okay, all right. Okay, we're the section in public comment. Does any public, anybody want to make a public comment about anything? Kathy, I see your hand there. Kathy Boyd.
Yeah, hi, everybody. Kathy Boyd, 5 Market Street. I'm getting a terrible echo. I hope I can speak.
Go ahead.
So I'm very disappointed to hear about the road diet. And although I'm in favor of a bike trail, I don't think that just having it go as far as Caldwell Banker addresses the safety issue. Market Street is very unsafe from the shore stop onward to Route 13 for both walkers and for bikers. And I am both a walker and a biker. And it just seems crazy to me that VDOT doesn't really seem to care about safety. So I'm not sure $100,000 for a bike trail that goes behind Market Street and ends at Caldwell Banker is really going to solve my safety issue. So that's my comment.
All right. Well, thank you. I think we have a lot of work to do on this bike. Thank you. Any other public comment?
Mr. Mayor,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Mick.
my name is Megan Smith. Good evening. I'm speaking on behalf of the Corner Bakery and the Smith family. We, the Corner Bakery, would first like to thank the mayor and the town council members who took the time to call and visit us regarding the town meals tax issue. As all of you are aware by now, we feel that we are in full compliance with the town ordinance. This issue comes down to the interpretation of the definition of meal and bulk sales as defined in the town code. It is our position that either of these words, as defined in the town code, whether independent of or used in conjunction, supports our stance on the issue. Once again, we have no issue collecting the meals tax on our sales that meet the definition of a meal as specified in the code. As you stated, a pizza is different. It is a hot food that is clearly intended as a meal. This issue, however, came up after the meals tax was waived for the months of April, May, and June of 2020. After waiving the tax, the town office asked all restaurants to still submit their sales figures for those months. Since we did not collect these at this time, we had no way of supplying these numbers. We were instructed then by the town office to submit our total sales for those months. That is what we did. We would also like to point out that our gross sales have been reported to the town every year the same way when applying for our business license. Our business serves a dual purpose. We're not just a restaurant. We serve two different ways to the public, and our business stands independently of a lot of ways that local restaurants operate. While we are very hopeful that a mutual agreed upon conclusion can be worked out between us and the town on this matter, we are prepared for a legal challenge if need be. On another note, in response to this evening and to Mr. Spuck's comment, we would like to express our extreme disappointment in the manner that this issue was handled. A letter was hand-delivered to an employee of our business on April 6th. No attempt was made to speak to any owner of the business. A voicemail left by us on the town manager's voicemail was never returned. As stated in our letter, we mailed to the town manager and every council member on April 8th. We welcome discussion on this issue to clarify. The reply we received from the town manager on April 13th regarding our letter was that the town supports the requirement for the bakery to collect this tax on all sales not factory packaged. If we disagreed, we were to have our attorney contact the town's attorney. With all due respect to Mr. Spuck, why would he involve the threat of legal action to bring attorneys into the issue with us or any business of this town without first attempting to have an open and honest dialogue with business owners? It seems that he was under the belief that intimidation and coercion would achieve the outcome that he sought. We also discovered after the fact that the town council was unaware of this issue. We fully understand that he is tasked with the responsibility of managing the day-to-day operations of the town. He could not perform his job, nor should he be expected to, while being micromanaged by a council of 7 members. However, before beginning legal action against any business or dispute on town code, you would think that he would inform the council of the decisions, the reason behind it, and to ask for the support of the council. The words "the town" and "our interpretation" were used in his reply letter that was dated to us on the 13th. He isn't the town; he is the town manager. And when he speaks and acts, he's representing you, the town council, the elected representative of the town. Let us hope that we are not headed the way of the big cities. Times have changed, and the days of doing things with a handshake are long gone. But let us hope that there's still time and place for open discussion before decision to involve attorneys is made. As independent business owners, we are well within the law and common courtesy to seek in public support and endorsement, and the public has every right to contact their elected officials. We understand and appreciate the outcome of tonight's meeting. But implying or insinuating any sort of discrepancy regarding the bakery's taxes during a pandemic is uncalled for and highly unprofessional. And speaking towards the future and your discussion after the decision was made, we strongly urge you, when considering reinterpreting your own town code and the terminology of bulk sales and how you could change this, that puts every small business at a disadvantage against large chain stores and services that would not be charged this tax due to the actual state terminology, such as regarding packaging and bulk sales. So I just wanted to thank everyone tonight for the decision that was made and for the support that was shown to the bakery and to the Smith family. And just moving forward, I hope that you would consider to keep that information in the back of your minds when you reconsider rewriting your code just to include bulk sales. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other public comment?
Yes, this is John Holdren. Yeah, I had just a couple of thank yous. One is to
what's your address? We need that for the record.
9 Mount Prospect Avenue in Anancock.
Thank you.
And just a couple of brief thank yous. One to the council for changing the situation on the town stickers. Be great for your revenue and also very nice for us as citizens not to have to mess with the stickers. So I want to express my appreciation for that. And secondly, also to Matt Spuck, who had a couple of meetings with the Warren Street residents, property owners near Warren Street. And he didn't have to do that. I think it was very good. I call it the Matt Spuck listening tour, and I thought it was very productive. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, John. Any other comments? Public comment?
Yes.
Sarah?
Sarah Knock, 1 Market Street. I'd like to get a clearer understanding of the parking that was passed. Does that mean that in order to park in the wharf parking lot for more than 4 hours, you have to have a town sticker, or how is that going to work? Is it boat trailer parking or is it car parking?
It's trailer parking.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because when I was reading in the agenda, it just mentioned vehicles. I did not see a reference that made that distinction.
It is for trailers.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sarah. Any other public comment? No other public comment? All right, close public comment and move on to committee reports. Let's see, I think HR saw it. Yeah, Bob, HRSD?
I'm going to defer to Matt because he covers that in his town manager's report.
Okay, Matt, you want to cover that? Or you want to wait till town manager? You're muted. There
You
are.
might, yeah. Do you mind if I wait until I give my report?
Not at all.
Thank you.
Waterfront, Bob?
Waterfront, excuse me, committee met on April the 13th. Craig Tanner, our harbor master, informed us that he's interviewing for seasonal help. As of the date of our meeting, he had hired 3 part-time workers for the wharf. Our bookings for clubs and small groups is far ahead of the pace of last season, we're thankful to say. The first scheduled group of any size is set to come in the week of June 4th. We discussed ways to encourage more parking at the overflow lot on King Street by approaching the gentleman who runs the Tangier Ferry, also the folks at Mallard's, to try to encourage more parking there, particularly as we hit the summer and with the new ramp, hope to have a lot of trailers in the parking lot. The courtesy car that council approved for the wharf is on site and available for use. And I believe, Matt, the golf carts that we're renting for this season will be in 1st of May.
Correct.
So fingers crossed that all will go well. Matt can talk more about the wharf project in his report as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Bob, may I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am.
How does the auto use work at the wharf? What is that? How does that happen?
You want me to chime in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody?
Transient boaters, there's a release form that our insurance company provided for us that another Virginia municipality uses for a courtesy car at their airport. So we are not blazing any new trails. So I repurposed that. And basically what it is a transient boater can access the use of the car by signing the form and leaving a couple other little goodies for up to 2 hours. And after that, it's $10 per hour to rent the car. Many transient boaters would enjoy many other parts of the shore, but they can't get there by boat. The other aspect is many of them need to run up to Walmart or to Napa, and this would be a big help for them. So in addition to the volunteers that we have, this courtesy car is going to be available for a little bit more autonomous management.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else on wharf, Bob?
No, sir.
Okay, I think you're up for planning commission.
Planning Commission met last Tuesday, April the 20th. We had a brief discussion about a rezoning request for a single-family dwelling on Hill Street to rezone it to a business designation. The new owners want to have a small group home. We had a lot of questions. We've asked the town manager to go back to the applicants and gather more information so that we can discuss it in more detail with better information next month. We finished our run through of the comprehensive plan. I believe Matt intends to update the plan based on last month's discussion, tie everything together, present it to Planning Commission in May, and I believe we're still on track to present it to council in June. As Matt's indicated, this is critically important that we adopt a new comprehensive plan ahead of a number of the grant opportunities that are out there. So I think we've got a really, really good document. It is simple, easy to understand, but it hits all of the hot spots that we've discussed both at Main Street in council and at our strategic planning session at the school over a year ago now. So stay tuned for that.
All right. We finally run out of committees here. My phone keeps clicking out. Where are we? Strategic planning, we did not meet. I don't really have anything on the mayor's report. I've been out of town for the last couple of weeks, so I haven't really been in. I first of all, I'd like to thank everybody, the citizens that the people that weighed in about the bakery. It's their right to email us, and all of the correspondence I got was thoughtful, and I didn't get any mean-spirited thing personally to me. I appreciate people letting us know. what they think about an issue. A lot of times we decide issues in the vacuum and we don't know what other people are thinking. And it's certainly the citizens' right to let us know, and please continue to do that. No problem with that. And people can call me. I have no problem with that if they want to. Got a few calls and had some good conversations with people, and I explained the situation, and it's good to get one-on-one with people. So thank you. I don't really have anything else. Leave it up to Matt. Go ahead.
Sure, thanks. I'm going to try to go through the highlights. I have a written report, obviously. I'll send it via email. The office is opening again to the public on May 3rd. That's Monday this coming. On that date, all of the employees who are working on the administrative side will have been 2 weeks out from their second vaccine. Any town employee, face coverings are always required by visitors, and we're only going to ask that one customer at a time be allowed in the office because it's such a tight space. The budget hearing we went through, I am putting together an amendment for the Hrsd, the sewer department, in case we don't make a June 30th adoption. Let me jump forward to Hrsd. I spent a good amount of time with Ted. He's got Ted Hennepin. He's the executive director. He's going to give us the second markup of the contract that we've already sent to them. The major points have been agreed to by his commission. We've got one other large item that's his commission is going to be reviewing, hopefully at their tomorrow meeting, which is the public use of funds to do the project on Jefferson Street. Other than that, they've given him the ability and the authority to negotiate independently with the town, and he's going through checking his boxes. I would expect to hear from him by the end of this week. I'll send that markup off to our committee once I receive it. My report shows the list of the, we've got 10 grants so far that we've been managing in the last 6 months. So it's been a busy time for grant monies, but there have been a lot of monies that have come in to the town that we've been able to help folks with. The boat ramp. This has been a sort of a comedy of errors during the first week and a half. They showed up and their crane was broken the first day. Then they showed up and they delivered the wrong size pile sheeting on the second day. And then the last time their dewatering pump wasn't working. So I spoke to their project manager fairly directly on Friday, and he assured me that he understood our issues. He appreciated them, and he today brought a different pump on site. They've still got to work on the dewatering, but that seems to be making headway. This week, we should be seeing the demolition of the ramp, and it should also be dewatered at the same time. Because we're entertaining a change order, a no-cost change order, so that everybody's perfectly clear, of replacing the bulkhead on the harbor master side of the ramp with full poured concrete, which will actually last a lot longer. It'll be a lot more durable, but it's also it's going to take them a lot less time to form it and to pour it. So we're not losing any time on the project, even though that first week was a bit of a fiasco. I mentioned Hrsd. Bob mentioned the Planning Commission. The job openings, we still have one remaining police officer to hire. I see a couple of my friends from Warren Street. I do have a date for paving. That's going to happen, weather depending, next Monday, the 3rd. So next Monday, the 3rd is when that project is going to take place. So if you're thinking about measuring that 12 feet, now would be a good time. I also have that same contractor going over on the same day doing the intersection of Waples and Jackson up on the other side. That section got tore up a while back and it hadn't been fixed. So we're going to get those two done in one day. The contractor's giving us now that we've fixed the water leak on Jackson, we were able to determine where a lot of what the locals are calling Lake Jackson is coming from. And what's happening is the storm water is running down Market and Kerr and funneling right into Jackson. So now that we've got the water leak from under the street fixed up, now I can get an appropriate asphalt plan to deal with Jackson Street. Those folks have been dealing with that road for a very, very long time. So I'm moving as quickly as I responsibly can to get that fixed. So just keep hanging with me. I've got a reasonable amount of budget left to do this, and I really, really want to take care of that street. This is probably my biggest announcement. Are you ready? Everybody listening? We are scheduling our street, our water hydrant flushes. We do a spring flushing protocol for our water quality. Water fire hydrant flushing is going to take place on Mondays, May 10th, May 17th, and May 24th. I am going to spend the next 2 weeks shouting from the rooftops that we are going to be flushing our fire hydrants on those consecutive Mondays. Hopefully we won't need the third one, but you never know. So I'm letting everybody know so that, they don't make any mistakes with laundry. So I'm going to be using our texting service. I'm going to be using our email service. I very well may even put a small ad in the post. I really want folks to know that this hydrant flushing is taking place. So feel free to scream that from the rooftops. We are flushing the hydrants. And in order to maintain our high quality of water, this is something that should take place twice a year, just so you know. So we're going to develop all this, and we'll probably do it again in the late fall.
Matt,
yes.
Is that by section of town 10, 17, 24? Is that how that works?
I'm actually meeting tomorrow morning with the water department and the fire chief to talk about these. We only have to do dead end hydrants, and they're going to get the map up on my street, and we're going to do it. But we're going to tell people where we're flushing them. But honestly, that will have impact to more than just that one small region. So I want to make sure people know, yes, we're going to be, on the corner of North and Kerr, we're going to flush that hydrant, but that doesn't mean if you're over in Mount Prospect, you ought to be, so everybody needs to be careful. Just so you know, the financial statement audit that normally takes place a couple months back is now taking place next week. They had a case of COVID at the auditor firm, and it's been delayed and delayed and delayed. They're finally going to finish up our work for the audited financial statements. We have our new online payment system, so you'll be able to pay online for any charge that you have for the town, whether it's taxes or water or anything else. That's going live at the end of this week. We're gonna take some time and do the proper testing and things like that before we go prime time with it. But I just wanted you folks to know that system has been configured, and we're pushing it out at the end of this week. Some of you know that there was a new payroll processing company. Some of you learned that the hard way. I apologize for that bump in the road, but we've gone to another payroll processor because it's quite frankly half the price, and we receive everything else that we normally need to. Let's see, DPW. The rest of these, I don't think have any wide range. Yeah, I've got some small items that are there, but that's the rest of my report. Anybody have any questions?
Anybody?
Yes. Tell us more about what the flushing of the hydrants entails, what the
basically
would
what
be
that
to watch out
entails
for.
is a scheduled flushing of the hydrants that really gets any of the sediment that gets settled on the bottom of a water line. By flushing the fire hydrant, it allows us to clear all that out. It takes the quality of the water throughout the system and makes sure that there's no sediment or anything else. Just from a water quality point of view, we need to do that a couple times a year. There's no problem. It's just a preventive maintenance issue, but obviously it does cause disruption in the water lines. So we want to make sure that folks know about it.
Will it turn the water off?
No.
Just makes the water a little dirty for a while, a little rusty.
So in some places it can look a little rusty. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's not drinkable. Do not drink
Well, the
water.
rusty water, you'll be able to just run your faucet until it runs clear, but I wouldn't drink it.
Just don't wash clothes in it either. That's it.
Right. That's exactly the thing. And we even found a product that if somebody does wash their clothes with it, it's called Red Be Gone. And we'll put that product available. So if somebody does wash it with rust in it, we'll be able to give them a solution to that.
Okay. Anything else, Matt? You're all set.
I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Council comments. Joy, you're the first person on to my right on the screen.
Oh, wow, what an honor. I would like to jump back to Sarah Knox's question about the 4 hours at the wharf. What I'm under the impression is that is for transient local boaters who come in. There's an empty slip and they could possibly go to Mallards for 4 hours. Is that correct?
I don't think Sarah was talking about boating. She was talking about.
Yeah, I think we're mixing those two things up.
No, she mentioned 4 hours. That's why I mentioned that.
Yes.
My next point is the town will issue stickers that we will put on our vehicles to park at the wharf. The county.
The town is not going to issue any stickers whatsoever. If you want to buy, if you don't live in Accomack County and you want to have a pass to use the ramp, then we'll sell you a daily parking pass.
Yeah.
The 4 hours is for, I think Mr. Mayor had said the 4 hour use was for transient or local boaters who want to pull into an unreserved slip and visit town and do business. As far as parking in town, a trailer can only park if it's got the decal from Accomack or a daily pass that they get at the wharf and marina.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're doing away with all town stickers. There will no be.
Yes, we're out of the sticker business.
No one will have a town sticker anymore.
So you do not have to have a sticker to park your car, but you do have to have the county sticker to park your boat.
Correct.
Which
You'll get one.
county
You
will
have a boat.
issue. And I did notice today that there is a discount if you have a Virginia fishing license
A discount for what?
for the boat sticker.
It's free. Why would there? If you own a boat, the boat sticker is free.
Right.
It was in the packet,
Oh, I don't know.
the agenda packet.
No.
We haven't free it either.
Maybe that was out of state or something. I don't know. Well, anyway, okay. All right. Thelma, do you have any comments?
No,
Catherine?
No.
No. Ray?
No, but I guess I don't know new comments, but I think maybe to clarify, I think Ann Knock was talking about the 4 hour parking. I think she was concerned about limiting the parking in the wharf parking lot to 4 hours.
Yes.
We're not.
Where I think the intent was to talk about boats docked in the wharf for 4 hours.
Right. That was my concern also.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you, Ray. I don't mind being confused with my mom, but I'm not her.
Excuse me. Sorry, Sarah, sorry.
And B, I was talking about vehicles with wheels.
Vehicles, yes.
I may
not
have
boats.
mixed up. I may have mixed up something about boats with something about vehicles with wheels. So apologies.
Right. The 4 hour rule pertains to boats as far as I know.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's all for me.
All right. Who else I got? Mavis.
Hello.
Any comments?
I just I want to do a bravo for the online payment system. It works. I've used it. I appreciate it. And I appreciate that the town is absorbing the fee. And I think it brings us into the modern age. And this is how things are progressing. I am also as happy as I can be to say that the business license is a flat fee. This is something that should have been done years and years ago. And if you're encouraging the growth of businesses in your town, you don't penalize them for growing. And I think that's what this does. And I appreciate that very much. The other comment I have is I wanted to thank the public for their interacting with the council members on an issue that was dear or near to their hearts, because we don't know what you're thinking unless you tell us. And we can't reach out to everyone, and you all can reach out to us. We have all the information on the town website and how to contact. And this was a prime example of people talking to people, and we've come to a good end. Thank you.
Bob?
No, sir, nothing.
Okay, I think we're coming to the end of it then. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, well, thank you. Thanks.
You.
Looks like almost 2 hours up there.
Thanks,